Well, good morning, everyone. My apologies. We had a little mishap here when we started the live stream, but now we have figured it all out. And as always, 99% of the mistakes are user error. So I made a mistake setting this up earlier. So sorry, we're starting about 10 minutes late. And with that, let me just jump in, and what I wanted to share with you today. Again, thank you so much for joining me this morning and listening to my message. And I really hope that I can share with you information that you might not have right now. Of course, the topic of the hour are the fires that are surrounding us here right now. These are the fires in Salinas and Carmel Valley, the river fire and the Carmel Valley fire. But also we have fires north of us in the Santa Cruz area. And the fires have caused a lot of damage. Our fire department has been deployed to several of the fires that we have in the state of California. We had for about 2 weeks now a team down in the Lake Fire. That's a fire in Los Angeles County. And of course, starting with Sunday in Salinas with the river fire, and Tuesday with the Carmel fire, we have additional resources allocated to that fire. A total of 18 firefighting personnel right now. 18 firefighters are supporting the efforts on the front lines at the river fire, Carmel fire, as well as the lake fire. That is a pretty high number of firefighters, but statewide, you need to be aware that there are over 367 fires right now in the state of California, and 23 of those fires are regarded as major fires. So local governments are supporting as much as they can state resources. And yesterday, the governor declared a state of emergency. And with that, he is asking for help and support from adjacent states to allocate firefighting personnel and fire equipment to our state, to the state of California. The firefighting efforts that we are helping with do not impact our station staffing that we have in the city of Monterey, as well as in the city of Pacific Grove and Carmel. All our fire stations are fully staffed and will remain fully staffed. That, of course, is a concern for some of you, the residents that have asked us, okay, if you send out firefighters to all those fires, what happens if something happens here in Monterey? We have a total of 81 firefighters employed in the city of Monterey, and those firefighters are working during normal times, split over 3 different shifts, each shift working 48 hours. So if you make the math, with 18 firefighters out right now, we have sufficient resources to staff our engines here in town, as well as to staff the fire stations. But there's always another aspect to what I just shared with you, which is, as you know, that evacuations are taking place, and also city employees and their families live in those areas. And as of this morning, we have over 40 employees with their families that have been evacuated out of the areas around Salinas and Santa Cruz and Carmel Valley. So we also try to take care of our own right now and try to share with them what we know they can do, what kind of help is out there, what are the insurances paying with respect to hotels, finding new accommodations, etc. So that is another aspect of the fires that not just the city of Monterey, I think many of us, many employers are having to look after their employees as well. So I hope you all um, keep our firefighters in your mind as they are fighting the fires, but also think about all the impacts that the fire has on every single one who has to be evacuated right now. Of course, the air quality is poor. And you notice that in Monterey, how our skies are covered with smoke, how the ash is falling down. Just imagine if you live closer to those fires, what they are experiencing there right now. We have advised our crews working in the city to stay as much as they can inside. We are avoiding right now with our own crews uh, larger scale projects. That does not mean that if you have an emergency and you need somebody from Public Works to help you, that we will not roll out. But also, we have to take care right now of our employees as well and ensure that they stay healthy and are not outside breathing the poor air. The the fires impact everyone, and we just hope that the fires will be contained sooner than later. I want to talk now about COVID-19. As you know, COVID-19 continues to be a huge factor in our operation as well. And the context between COVID-19 and the fires is the next couple of days. We do not expect that we get a lot of crowds coming to the Monterey Peninsula. And we talked about crowding, I believe, 2 weeks ago when I met with you. And I think the crowding issue for the upcoming weekend might not be a problem. And that is because the air quality is so bad that I think people will not come to the Monterey Peninsula, and they don't want to stay on our beaches just because it's not healthy for them. Talking about the Monterey beaches, we will continue to have two pocket beaches closed, which is San Carlos Beach as well as Maccabee Beach. Del Monte Beach will be still accessible over the next 2 weekends. However, come Labor Day weekend, all cities around the Monterey Bay, and that starts in Santa Cruz, includes the beaches of Capitola, and then the beaches of Monterey, Pacific Grove, and Carmel as well. All the associated state beaches will be shut down. So we will shut down during Labor Day all the beaches around the bay, and hopefully, by then the air quality is of such that we can all enjoy the outdoors more. And because also of the expected inflow of tourists again, Labor Day weekend is always the same as Memorial Day weekend. We will be closing all beaches. We have coordinated with all the other cities around the bay, and I believe that's the first time that we all jointly are shutting down the beaches. There may be exceptions here and there. I believe the city of Santa Cruz is contemplating to open their beaches at 4 p.m. in the evening for those folks who want to enjoy a stroll on the beach. I encourage you, please pay close attention to the individual media releases from your city. But a joint media release has gone out this morning. City of Monterey drafted that on behalf of all the cities, and we are explaining what we are doing during Labor Day weekend. Last night, I learned that the city of Pacific Grove followed suit and has now ordered the complete closure of Lovers Point Beach for the upcoming weekends. And they will also close their parking turnouts that you find around the coastline of Pacific Grove. So that's a good measure. And keep in mind, we have done that also for San Carlos Beach and Maccabee Beach. Both beaches are kind of similar than Lovers Point, with very restricted beach access. It's not a wide access point, but defined staircases there. And of course, Lovers Point, like San Carlos, like Maccabee, can become easily overpopulated. What we do also in Monterey, as they ordered yesterday, also in Pacific Grove, is they are permitting ocean-related activities. So if you want to kayak, if you want to paddleboard, if you want to surf, uh, etc., if you want to take a swim, you are allowed to do that. But it's not allowed to be on the beaches, sitting there with your coolers and having a jolly good time. Again, as I stated, I don't expect this will be a challenge for us this upcoming weekend just because of the poor air quality. What was also important is that the City Council of Monterey last night, with respect to COVID-19, discussed a crowding issue on the wharf. And you have seen a lot of social media posts and media posts about crowds on the wharf. And what we wanted to do together with the council is to get an idea what the city thinks about crowding. And that was last night a very public process with over 24 folks that were calling in and sharing with us their opinions. And also, the council had a chance to discuss among themselves what they want to do. And I can share with you the outcome of that was that the council has asked me to come up with a system that monitors the number of people that are entering the wharf and are congregating on the wharf, using the wharf, that we are also continue to manage the parking volume that we are offering. We tested this last weekend when we reduced parking in the waterfront parking lot by 50%, and there was a real reduction of folks entering and congregating on the wharf in the morning hours and afternoon hours. The picture changed dramatically with the power outage. And then when the power outage hit and the power was restored, the wharf was one of the few places that had power back early on, and a lot of folks went to the wharf to enjoy a dinner. But in principle, what we saw from the earlier hours on Saturday as well as on Sunday, crowds were smaller, were to a degree smaller. So the council allowed me to continue to manage parking volume as well. And so it will be a mix between creating an access point to the wharf, where we can basically count people leaving and coming onto the wharf. We will probably have a crowd monitor there who will oversee how many people are on and off the wharf and actively manage that. Question always came up, well, how do you know when it's too many and when it's not enough? And it's not a hard number. It's difficult to say after we have seen 1,000 people that's when we shut off the wharf, because there are so many factors on the wharf that we have to consider. One of them is, for instance, folks are constantly leaving the wharf on boats, and they are taking trips, fishing trips, whale watching trips, glass bottom boat trips, etc. So it is there is a constant flow of folks that come and go. There's enough space in the retail spaces where people are going to buy a souvenir, and they disappear from the wharf as well. The easiest answer that I could give them is the monitor knows a crowd when you see a crowd, and that might be not really very scientific, but I think if you use a common sense approach, the reasonable person approach, everyone will agree, you know what, that's a crowd. We can see here's a crowd, and that's where we need to start to manage. So Again, the wildfires this weekend will give us probably a break with respect to the crowding issue. But last night, the council heard from all of the residents that called in. They had also, of course, received communication through emails and phone calls. And with that, the council gave us some general directions. And I will reach out to the WARF Association as well as internally to our team, and we will figure something out that will continue to monitor that the amount of folks entering the WARF. Last but not least, Labor Day weekend is the official end of tourist season. And I don't expect that we have huge crowding issues after Labor Day weekend. We are just in the last 3 weeks of summer, and I think we will get through that. The beach on Del Monte Beach last weekend was full. However, the groups that were on the beach congregating there were all socially distanced. We did not observe wild parties. We did not observe 40, 50 folks coming together to have a jolly good time. What we saw were people that came from all areas of our city, all areas of our county, and all areas of our state, and they were coming with their families down to enjoy a day at the beach. And as I stated before, what we observed, and we had 2 police officers patrolling the beach on Saturday and Sunday. What we observed and what was confirmed also by some of our residents was really appropriate social distancing behavior on Del Monte Beach. And as you know, Del Monte Beach is a large beach. It is going all the way from Wharf Number 2 to our beaches that stretch far beyond Surfway and Del Monte Beach neighborhood. So again, I wanted to assure you we kept an eye on that, and we were ready to close the beach if we would have seen anything that gave us great concern. COVID-19 will continue to force our hand in so many ways. Many of the actions that we are doing are caused by the pandemic, and I like us all to be conscientious of that, because sometimes the focus, I think, shifts on the measures, but not what caused the measures. We have been very strict with our restaurants and our operators across town. We keep monitoring the spacing of the parties. It has to be 6 feet apart. We ensure that the tent structures are safe and secure. We ensure that they are operated in the way as the industry guidance is. And frankly, we are receiving comments from both sides, from residents who express concerns that we are not doing enough, and from those who got cited that we are doing way too much and that we are starting to harass them if we show up daily and ensure compliance. So it is difficult to find the right balance. I think by hearing from both sides, it means that something is happening, and of course, at the end, we need jointly look back and see, did we enough or did we not do enough? And ultimately, like I like to say it sometimes, is we cannot really fix stupid human behavior. If people are not complying, if they are not doing the right thing, and endangering others and themselves, we cannot be there immediately and try to prevent that, even though we want to be present all the time. Our code compliance will continue 7 days a week, and we are out there on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with code compliance officers at 10 hours and community services officers who are working Saturday and Sunday, as well as police officers, and continuing throughout the week also with police and code compliance, and to a lesser degree during the week with community services officers. So I want to assure you that we are still very much active in doing all that. Let me talk. I talked about the WAF and I talked about crowding, and I mentioned at that time to you the power outages. So power outages is a fact of California life. When the temperatures go up, you will see that a lot of power is taking out of the grid. And to explain that a little further, what happened on Saturday and what may happen also in the following days. The California energy grid is being overseen by a third party. What does this mean? It means that there is basically a group of folks, private contractor, but a group of folks that is overseeing the energy consumption in the state of California. And they get this information from the power companies, from the utility companies, and they can see in real time how much energy is being consumed in the state of California. And what happened on Saturday was that this group identified that the state is very close to collapsing in key areas with respect to energy demand. And so they shut down basically within 10 minutes areas that affected, for instance, us here in Monterey. And the mechanics of that work like that this group that monitors the energy consumption across the state contacts the power utility companies such as PG&E and tells them, you got to shed some load right now. They give them probably the megawatts that they want to be reduced. And within 10 minutes, PG&E was forced to shut off regions, shut off areas. And so we as a city, we got a notification probably almost immediately through PG&E, and then the power was shut off. So it went basically super fast with respect to create those energy resources that were necessary for areas where production, where air conditioning were running high and they needed that energy. That is the background. The state of California does not have enough energy to supply itself with high demand. That's a challenge in the state of California, and that's a challenge that is created by all of us. We are consuming energy, and we are also having to find ways of finding that energy. Not every community is happy about an energy plant in their backyards. Also, shifting to renewable energy has been highly successful, but also that resource is not yet available in the amount that we needed. So at the end, it becomes quite a balancing act between what is available and what we actually want to build here in the state of California as an additional resource for power. The point that I try to make is that the state of California is buying energy now on the energy market. Electricity is a commodity that you can purchase from the state, from other states, from other companies that are producing energy. But like with so many things, the energy prices jumped over the past 7 days. The energy that we purchase from Monterey Bay Community Power, that's renewable energy, usually runs around 7 cents per kilowatt hour, 7 cents per kilowatt hour. That pricing was now dealt with on the energy sector at 33 cents per kilowatt hour. So just imagine that jump from 7 cents to 33 cents tells you a lot about our energy market and how we are dealing with each other. The good news for Monterey Bay Community Power, though, is that we have entered into the midterm to long-term agreements with energy providers for renewable energy, and I think our rate structure has a stability factor in there. And this is a short-term effect, of course. I wouldn't be too worried that this will be a long-term effect, but I just wanted to share that information with you. Last but not least, two more items that I wanted to share with you. Item number one, the hotel tax measure was approved, as I believe I shared with you. TOT will go up from 10 to 12% should you, the voter, decide to do that. The hotel tax then will be 12%. The measure has given a letter. It's the measure Y, and Y will be on the ballot in November. And should it be approved by a two-third majority, it will help to the city to increase our revenues by about 2.8 to 5.6 million dollars a year. And another caveat of that measure, of course, is that the 12% hotel tax that will then generate something like 20 to 26 million dollars in hotel tax annually. 16% of that will continue to go to the neighborhood and community improvement program. So again, the council put this on the ballot. It is measure Y. It will be up to the voters how they will decide. It will require a two-third majority vote. We also, speaking about elections, we also met on Tuesday, virtually, of course, with most of the council candidates that are running for election in November. And what I meant by that is the city staff always offers for the council candidates a briefing, and they can come to that candidate briefing, and we explain to them what we are doing in the city of Monterey. Not everyone knows how complex our operation is. Not everyone knows how many services we are providing. We are providing also data about our finances. We show them the parking operation, our harbor operations, our library, parks and recreation, etc., etc. As you certainly know, our city is very complex, offers a huge amount of service levels, and we always want to use the opportunity to meet with the council candidates and tell them what we are doing, and with that also offering them the help of the city manager in case they have questions or need information. And again, we did this Tuesday. We had a chance to meet with council candidates Gabriela Chavez, council candidate Zoe Carter, as well as mayoral candidate Timothy Barrett. Plus, we were joined also by council candidate and council member Dan Albert, and council candidate and also council member / vice mayor Alan Hoffer. So we had a group of 5 folks that we briefed over a course of little more than 2 hours on Tuesday. With that, I conclude my remarks. I thank you again for those who hung in there and waited for me patiently to come online. Stay safe. Be assured that we try to do our best to maneuver us through COVID-19, wildfires, economic crisis, social justice crisis, etc. And I appreciate all the friendships, all the positive comments you have given us. And I also appreciate very much all the critical input that we receive, all the requests and suggestions for improvement in certain areas. It is very helpful, and be assured that our team and I completely appreciate every single one of you who are trying to do their best to make our city functional during this crisis. Thank you again for everything you're doing, and stay safe out there, stay healthy, and hope to see you again in 2 weeks. Thank you so much.